So we're back. Bible verse 3, man. Just had to charge up the old iPhone a little bit, and that was only about 3 minutes ago. So let's go ahead and knock this guy out and get right into it. So man, James comes right out of the chutes in chapter 3, verse 1, and he speaks right to me. So 3:1, not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. I mean, that is crazy. That's crazy to me because if you guys know anything about me, you know that I am a teacher at heart. It's what I really feel like God has called me to do. For most of my career in finance, obviously, as a professor. But now, even with what I'm doing with, the iPhone's not fully charged. Even with what I'm doing now with, F cubed and the videos and when I speak and all that stuff. And then obviously what I do at Tasty Trade. I mean, I am very much in an instructor, teacher type capacity. But obviously James here is talking about, teaching the word, teaching scripture, which, I'm putting myself out there and kind of starting to at least pretend like I'm doing that too. And so I read this, man, and Tim Keller is he's actually the first person that I heard say something to this effect. And he may have been referring to James. Maybe it was another verse in scripture, I'm not sure. If you guys can pull another reference, please leave it in the comments below, because I would love to know where Tim Keller got this from. But he said that it kind of makes him shake in his own boots a little bit, because he knows that because he knows so much more about God, about Jesus, about the Bible, about Scripture, that he's going to be judged more strictly. And so, I heard him, I read this in James, and it kind of makes me feel a little uneasy, if I'm just being real with you guys, about what I am doing here. But I feel really called to do this too, and I hope that somehow, some way, in one of these videos, whether it be this one or another one, God will speak to you. But you don't even have to be a teacher to get a lot from this verse, and here's what I mean. First and foremost, if we go back to the historical context at the time, being a teacher in that era was very, very prestigious. Like, everybody wanted to be a teacher. Everybody wanted to be considered a teacher of the law. This was a position that held a lot of clout and a lot of esteem in that society. And so James was wanting to speak directly to the Christian leaders. And what he was basically calling them out on, and this is what we can all relate to, was their hypocrisy. And one of the cross references I found that actually just lays this right out there is Romans 2:21, which reads, "You then who teach others, do you not teach yourself? You who preach against stealing, do you steal?" And I don't know about you guys, man, but that caused me to sit and do some really serious introspection. Just thinking like, all right, Jim, you're trying to share the gospel, you're trying to get it out there with people. Does your life reflect the gospel? Because that's what James is speaking to. That's what Romans is speaking to. And so that really challenged me, and maybe that challenges you too. But the other verse I want to get into here, and I want to keep this to around 5 minutes, is if we go to 3:11. So this is amazing. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? So a couple of things that jump out. When I was looking through Moo's commentary, the first thing was, if I go back to the etymology of the actual Greek origin of those words, fresh and salt can actually be better interpreted as sweet and bitter, which I like a lot more, because that shows a starker contrast between the two words. And so that's what James was trying to get at. He was basically, if you actually read chapter 3, and I'm just hinting at this just briefly, basically one of the whole themes of the whole chapter is taming your tongue. Just the power that our tongues have on our bodies and our minds and our souls. And James is challenging us. He's saying, hey man, it's either or, it's black or white. Like, either your tongue is praising God or it's blaspheming God. Either your tongue is for God or it's against God. And, it's crazy. A couple of years ago, like literally like 18 months ago, I was feeling kind of a big heart transformation in my life for Jesus, where my faith, had been a Christian for most of my life, my faith was finally starting to feel very real to me, I decided to stop cursing. Completely. 100%. I wouldn't say anything that was even remotely, like, considered a bad word. I'm going to start using words like crummy and, like, silly and, like, oh, man, that's total crud. I'm like, I haven't said crud in 28 years, and now I say it at least 3 times a day. And so I was like, wow, this is crazy. But I can tell you from personal experience, it has started to change my thoughts, change my actions, and change my heart, and probably make them a little bit more pure and a little bit more in line with the gospel. So hopefully those couple of verses, this little burst helps you out, and I'll see you guys on the next burst. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Penelope, say thanks.
Thanks.
Yep. If you guys want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or like the Facebook page, or follow me on Instagram, Twitter at jschultzf3, whatever you guys can do, man, I really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.